G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we will make this rabbit headband. I'm laughing because I can actually see my own reflection in the window. Yeah, and you're gonna laugh too because this is what we're gonna learn how to make. I could have put them a little bit closer together, but I think it is so cute. And the ears are like basically tubes that we've squashed, so they're quite thick and you can actually pose them. So all I'm missing is a fluffy tail. Do you reckon I'd get away being a rabbit? You can pose them in all different directions. Anyway, so I hope you enjoy my video. The things I do for crochet. So let's get started on the lesson. For today's tutorial we will need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, a crochet hook to go with your yarn. This is a 5.5mm or an eye size hook. I've got some worsted weight yarn. You could also use 8 ply, which is equivalent to double knit, and you would use a 4mm or a G size hook. We're going to need some pink. I've already made one of the sections of the ears, so you're going to need about double that much, so you're not going to need a lot of yarn at all for the pink section. And we're also going to need some white yarn, enough to make a headband. Depending on how wide you're going to need it, it's probably going to be about 50 grams, which is I think that's about an ounce. I'm not sure, but I've got a huge one here. How big is it? This is 7 ounce and I've only used that much, and I've already made one of the headbands, so you're not going to use very much yarn at all. So to make your headband, I've already made mine, but I'm going to show you how to make it, don't worry. Mine is about 2 to 2.5 inches wide. You can make this any width that you like. This is actually going to be for myself, so that's the width that I chose. So let's get started on the headband first. So we've got a few little different bits and pieces that we can make, and you can also make some eyes as well, so you're going to need some scrap yarn for that. You don't really need that much, and if you want to make a little nose on yours, you're going to need hardly any yarn at all, about a yard or so of the nose colour. So we're going to make a slip knot. Plenty of different ways to do that, and for my headband I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stitches, and then 2 for the turning chain, so that's 11 stitches altogether. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can use the single crochet stitch for this, you can use the half double crochet, you can use a double crochet. It doesn't really matter for your headband, it just depends on what stitch you like best. I'm a huge fan of the half double crochet, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. So we don't count the one that's on our hook. That's 1 and that's 2. So going into the second chain, and for those who don't know, I have wrapped my hook. Going into the second chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all stitches. So yarn over, go into the chain stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all stitches. We will work this all the way across until we get to the end of our chain. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit. Grab some more yarn. So we're just working our way across till we get to our last chain. Working a half double crochet in that one as well, or whichever stitch you've chosen. That's our first row. So for half double crochet stitch, I like to chain one and then actually work the half double crochet into that first stitch. Some patterns will get you to chain two and then half double crochet into the second stitch, because your chain two will count as your first. But I'm not going to do that. You are going to work into each stitch with a half double crochet until we get to the end. We will chain one and half double crochet into that first stitch and each stitch across, and we repeat this row for the length that we want our headband. Now I will put a link to approximate head sizes. It's Bev's Country Cottage. There's a size chart there which I use for a lot of different things, headbands and also hats. She's also got sizes for blankets as well. Lots of important information. So you're going to keep crocheting until you get your head measurement. Now you could add buttons to this project, but if you're not going to add buttons, or even if you are going to add buttons, you want to make it about half an inch smaller than the head circumference that you need it for, because the crochet does stretch. So going into that last stitch, and continue on until you have the measurement that you need. So here is my headband, and that's my starting tail, and then I've left a long tail at the end. You're just starting to fray, but anyway, we'll cut that off. And you could use buttons. You could sew two buttons here and use the actual holes in the stitches as your buttonholes. That will work. But in this project, I'm going to try to keep it all crochet, so I'm going to thread my needle. Now you could slip stitch these seam together as well. You could crochet it together, but it may not lay flat. So sewing, I think, is the best way for me. So I've got the yarn attached at the back, and this is my other section. Make sure it's not twisted. Going through your stitches. We will sew the seam shut. So repeat this all the way across. You don't want to make your seam too tight because it will start to bunch up, but you want it tight enough so that your stitches don't show. And when you get to the end, just got that loop that we've created, I'm going to put that through there, pull down, and then we will just hide our yarn. And this is how I hide my yarn in any of my projects. I just put it underneath the stitches, but I haven't put it underneath so you can see the needle. It's just grabbing those top loops that are on this side of the crochet. So by saying that, I mean these loops here. And then I like to go back in the opposite direction, so I skip that loop and go under that one. Cut that off, and then I'll do the same for that one. So now we have our headband. So now we want to make the ears. Now there's two sections to the ears. You have the pink section, and I've already made one ear too, so I can show you. So this is basically a tube, and we were going to squash it flat. I have done ears on the Easter Bunny hat, which I think are different. They're worked flat like this. They're not a tube, so you could use those ears as well, but I tried to do this way so you could show you another way of doing your ears. We're going to get our pink section, put that on the top like that, lining it up at the bottom, and then we're going to sew that together. So what we need to do for the ears, grab your white again, just need to undo the headband I started. Oops. So for the ears, what I did, and you could use a different amount of stitches, we need a magic ring. So the easiest way to make a magic ring I find is just to wrap it around your fingers, grab the circle, and I just hold that there so it doesn't come apart, go through the circle, grabbing your yarn, pull up, do a chain 1 to secure. And what I started with this one was 12 single crochets. So into the loop, work 12 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can actually pull this tight so that it, don't pull it completely tight, but just so it's easy to work with. So we're just going to putting a whole stack of single crochets until we have 12. I haven't even counted, I just put in a whole heap of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, if you get 13 or 11, it's not really going to matter, as long as you do the other one the same. So pulling on that tail, you're going to pull that tight, shut that hole up. And this one we're working in continuous spiral. We aren't going to join each row, which makes it so easy. So going into the first stitch, which is here, we're going to single crochet, and from now on we single crochet into every stitch that we come to. There will be no joining, So you'll just keep going around and around and around and around and around, and eventually it will turn into a tube. If you want sort of more narrow ears, try and do 10 single crochets. I think anywhere from 6 and less is very hard to work. So you can play around with the size of the ears you want. Of course, if you want your ears bigger, put in more stitches. So keep going. And you're going to repeat this twice. You're going to make 2 of these, because bunny rabbits have 2 ears. So as you go along, see how it's starting to form a little cup shape or bowl shape? That's what it's going to do. But what you're going to do is trying to form like that. You're going to turn it inside out, because this is the good side. So when you're working, you're going to be working around the outside of your ear. Try and keep your stitches tight. If you were using this for crochet toys, you would use a smaller hook, because you would put stuffing into it. We aren't stuffing these, so we don't need to worry about stuffing falling out. So keep going, making sure you're working on the outside of your ear. Pulling that tight again. And if you'd like, get your needle now and sew these ends in just around the centre there, just so it's not going to come undone. And I'll catch up to you when we've finished our ear. So I'm just working on my second ear, and that looks pretty much the same length. So when you've finished getting it to the length that you want, and mine is about 1, 2, 3 and a bit, so 3.5 inches roughly. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the next stitch and work a slip stitch. Then we're going to cut our yarn, but we want to leave about, I would say about 10 inches, because you want to be able to sew it to the headband. So I've just left that tail. So I'm going to pull that through. So we have 2 ears and 1 of these bits. So now we want to make this. I chained, what did I chain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I chained 12. So whatever you make your chain, and I'll show you how I'd like decided how long I wanted my chain. You're going to need to write this number down too, or just remember it if you can. This is what I did. Just move those aside. I made a chain, so 1, 2, so that's 12. You're going to lose 2 stitches because you're going to crochet into the second one. Now I just laid it on top of my ear, so it's actually only going to be about there. So you want to make your chain about 1 inch shorter than your ear. And then I worked, you can use single crochet, but I've used half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. This is the not counted, that's number 1 and that's number 2. So half double crochet all the way down to the end. We're going to make 2 of these, that's why I had to write that number down. Or if you can remember it, that's, you know, even better. when we get down to the end, we're actually going to work down the other side. And that's how we make our ear. So in our last stitch, we are working 5 stitches. So that's 1 in the same stitch, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, when you're working something like this, if you work into the chain, sometimes it creates these big holes, and I don't like that. So what I do, instead of working into that chain, I get in between the stitches. So yarning over, see how there's a stitch here and a stitch there? I'm going to go into that gap. I'm actually going to work over my tail as well. You can use this method on the bottom of bags or baby booty soles, that you have to work and then work back down the other side of the chain. I think it looks nicer. And then, so we've been in there, we're going to skip this stitch, go into the next gap. Gives it a nice firmer look as well. It won't be all holy. So just going in between the stitches and working our way down. But when we get to the end one, so we're going into there, we obviously can't work into the other side because there's no stitch there. So with the end one, I actually do just go into the stitch. If you want your ear to be wider, chain up 1 and half double crochet all the way back around. You may need to put 1 or 2 stitches in these ear stitches here to make it lay flat. But that's the only one I want because I think that's wide enough for my ear. So cutting off a tail, see I've still got all that left too. It doesn't take much yarn at all. So cut off a tail, again about 10 inches. And chain 1 and pull through. So we have 2 little pink bits for the ears, 2 little white ones, and a headband. I am actually making this video as I go, so I'm going to experiment with some eyes. And I'm going to use the eyes from the owl beanie. For anyone that doesn't know, that's just the first, I think, 3 rounds of a hat. So if you know a hat pattern, basic hat pattern, you can use, I'm threading the wrong colour, you can use the first 3 rounds of that and just change colour for your eyes. To sew this onto there, so I need that pink threaded. So line up the pink at the bottom of the white. When you lay your ear flat, you make sure your thread's on the corner there. Makes it easier when you have to sew it. So just over there. So laying this on that, I'm going to sew this pink section to the white section. So laying that down, picking up the white stitch, and working this all the way around until we get back to the other side. So I have my ears all sewn together. And I also sewn up the opening to the ear as well. So I've got Manny. He's going to be my model for my rabbit headband, because he's actually got about the same size head as me. So getting your ear, trying to do this and hold the camera at the same time. We will be putting them just off centre, so we don't want them on the side because they need to look like a dog. So we want to put the rabbit ears at the front like that. Do you get what I mean? It's going to be at the front like that. I've decided not to put eyes on this. I'm just doing just the ears on this one. If you want to add eyes, you can use the owl video to do that. So I'm just going to put you back. Ooh, hello. Put you back on my tripod. Oh, I still haven't sewn my end in, so I know that's the back of where my seam is, so at least that's handy. So now I can sew my ears on. So because they're nice and stiff, they're actually really poseable. They actually pose pretty good. So finding the centre, I've actually got my tail there so I can use that as a guide. So that's the centre of my headband. I'm going to go, so that's, man, can't see what I'm pointing at. That's my halfway mark. That's the centre and that's the other side. So I'm going to basically put it in the middle of there. Grabbing my needle. This one's already attached to my needle. I'm going to sew that. Okay, so we've got to make sure it's around the right way. So I need to turn it around because when my headband is up like that, so I've got my headband just sitting like that, you want the ears facing the right way. Because I was just about to sew them on that way, but then they'd actually be facing backwards. So we want to sew that on here. Okay, so making sure so I'll face it that way. So I'm just going to turn that around. And I'm going to sew this to my ear. And I wouldn't actually cut off your yarn until you've realised you've actually sewn it on the right way. Because I have done that before. I've actually finished it all off thinking it's all good, but I've looked at it and it's on the wrong way. Alright, so when that's on your head, I'm just going to grab Manny, make sure it actually does sit properly. Because if it doesn't, we can easily just take it off. So if you don't have a mannequin head, you can use a balloon. You can actually use the person that the headband is for. Alright, so I'll just show you what it looks like. Looks a bit... So the ears are going to flop down. This looks so cute. Hang on, that light's very glary. So I've just got to stitch that down to there a little bit more. Is it actually centered? No, it's not. Hang on, just hang on one sec. There we go. So you could even put a stitch marker to where you want to put them. That'd be easy as well, wouldn't it? Alrighty, so I'm going to sew the other ear on and then I will show you what we got. What I'm also going to do is go to the back and then just put a few stitches attaching the back of the ear to the headband. Probably won't matter too much if you don't, but that's what I'm going to do. And then finish off. Oh dear. So, there we go. Oh my goodness. I think that looks really cute. Don't you think? Oh, that is a little white fluffy tart. I'm set. So, because they're stiff, oh, you can pose them. So I hope you enjoyed the video and laughing at me looking like a complete idiot. But hey, who cares, eh? So please share your creations on our Facebook page, or if you don't have any social media pages, you're most welcome to email me your creation. My email address will be in the box below. So please hit subscribe, as there will be plenty more videos. Maybe not as crazy as this one, but you never know. So until next time, happy crochet. See ya!